Well, I had planned to go up to the retreat this morning, but as you can see, then we had a massive snowfall and the roads are completely covered with snow, and so I decided to leave it for today. I'll try to go up on the weekend. I wanted to clear up the workshop and organize the tools and things so that I could start building my first meditation hut. I wanted to have one meditation hut made before spring or by the end of spring, and so that I had somewhere to stay when I was going to rebuild the cabin. Here come some people on their ATVs. There. You can see that when the weather turns, it becomes a really good excuse for having a bit of fun. Jeez. That doesn't sound good. So anyway, what I decided I would do was I would make a little video and try to use my time productively. Now, what I wanted to talk about was love and compassion, because basically we all have this natural belief that love and compassion are really beneficial. But there's something that has to be included in that thought when it comes to the Buddha Dharma, at least. And that is that love and compassion need to be embraced by wisdom. So you could say wisdom embraced by compassion, or you could say the view of emptiness embraced by compassion. And ultimately, this is quite a profound topic, but it's something that we can understand in mundane terms quite easily. For example, if someone is suffering from drug addiction or alcoholism, then although one might think that we're helping them out by giving them what they want, giving them some drugs, giving them some money, giving them some alcohol, we can all accept that in the long run, this is something that's very harmful to them. So in the short term, it seems like we're being compassionate. Oh, that will make them feel happier. Better give them what they want. For example, if your child doesn't want to go to school, they say, oh, I don't want to go to school today. And you think, yeah, of course, you don't have to go. But in the long term, then they'll lose out on their education. So there needs to be some amount of intelligence or wisdom when you apply loving compassion. This is really important. I mean, they say that you have to be cruel to be kind. And it's so true. And this is something that is very important in terms of the Buddha Dharma. It's like that with our meditation. For example, if we just let the mind do what it wants to do, like if I say to you, you go to meditate for 2 hours a day, you have to focus on this candle, but you don't want to do that. You just want to daydream and let your mind think whatever it wants to think. Well, then you're never going to gain any of the benefits of meditation if you just allow yourself to be taken away or fall under the sway of your likes and dislikes, especially when it comes to falling under the sway of your negative emotions, like anger and desire and ignorance and that sort of thing. Look at these two beautiful dogs here down the path. It's a nice day for a walk. Morning. Hello. Hello. Oh yeah. Okay. Here. 1, 2. Go. They're beautiful dogs. Catch. Oh, you got catch. Catch.
Oh, it's always nice to have some snow. I'd like it to be gone by tomorrow.
Yeah. I've got to go to Campbell River.
Yeah, I gotta go to the casino. So. Have a good day.
You too. But this is especially important when it comes to the time of death. Now, we've got this tradition in the West, and that's when a loved one is on their deathbed, or when they've just passed away, then we kind of wail. We have this kind of tradition of mourning, but quite vocally and out loud, expressing our despair. And in the Tibetan tradition, and Buddha Dharma in general, this is taught to be a kind of dangerous thing to do, not beneficial. And that's because we believe that the individual's consciousness resides with the body for something like 3 days after passing away, and that they're very sensitive to the emotions and feelings of those close to them. And the main thing is this point of death is seen to be the most significant time in your life. And that's because how you react, how you feel emotionally, psychologically at this time of death is the most significant factor in determining where you will be reborn in the next lifetime. Now, most people have heard this term intermediary state, or Bardo. And in general, we think of Bardo as this time in between lives. After you've died, before you get your next rebirth, then there's something called the Bardo. But this is only one of the Bardos. This is called the Bardo of the essence of the ultimate, or the Dharmata. But in fact, there are 6 Bardos. There's the Bardo of the place of birth, and the Bardo of the dream world, the Bardo of meditation, the Bardo of the time of death, the Bardo of the Dharmata. And this is the Bardo we normally identify with. This is the place we go in between one life and the next. And finally, there's the Bardo of becoming. Now, it is the Bardo of the time of death that is so significant in determining where we will be reborn. And so at this time, it's very important for friends and family to remain calm, and also to reassure the person who's dying. Because if we panic at this time, if we panic at the time of death, then that will have a very negative effect on our next rebirth. So at this point, it might be good just to explain what is meant by these 6 different Bardos, or intermediary states. The first one is called the Bardo of the place of birth. And this Bardo refers to the time from when we are born until we begin to die. So this is our current life, this Bardo of the place of birth. The second is the Bardo of sleep and dreams. And this goes from the time we fall asleep until we wake up. And if we are in deep sleep and we don't dream, then this Bardo comprises one single mental event, one single quantum time moment. And so this dream state and sleep state represents another world, a state of existence. The third Bardo is the Bardo of meditation, or specifically the Bardo of equipoise, meditative equipoise. What this refers to is the time that we are immersed in samadhi. And as you know, there's different types of samadhi. For example, there's the samadhi of different elements, like fire, earth, air, water, and space. And as long as our samadhi, or our equipoise, is uninterrupted, then that is considered one Bardo, one intermediary state. In reality, as the mind does not waver from the meditative object, whether that's a perceptionless samadhi, or a samadhi focused on an object, like a Buddha statue, or one of the 5 elements, then that's one continuous absorption in a perception of your mental object. And this Bardo of meditation, or Bardo of equipoise, is very significant because for somebody who has actual meditation, they have recognition of the true nature phenomena, then as long as they are residing in their meditative equipoise, then really what they've achieved is a state of awakening or liberation. And it's only in this post-meditative state, when you return to the everyday world, that you return to a state of an ordinary being. Now, the important thing here is that once you gain realization, and so that's the path of insight and upwards, then it is said that you never leave this state of meditative equipoise. You always reside in the view. Of course, appearances change, but your own perception is one that is embraced by insight or wisdom. Now, this fourth bardo is the bardo of the time of death. And that means not that one has died, but that the process of dying has begun. So if you're on your deathbed and your elements start to dissolve and slowly you're approaching death, and this is this bardo of the time of death. And this is when your mental state is so important. And really, this is the main reason why we need to apply ourselves to our meditation in this lifetime. Because it's very difficult for us to attain awakening as the Buddha did in our meditation. For most of us, the best we can do is to calm or still our minds so that we're prepared for the time of death. If at the time of death, then you're able to enter into a bardo of meditation, if you're able to rest in equipoise, or at least remain focused on uncontrived relative bodhicitta, that's love and compassion that embraces all beings, then you've got a very good chance of at least achieving a good rebirth in the next lifetime, if not achieving awakening after death. This fifth bardo is the bardo of the dharmata. As I said before, this is what we traditionally consider to be the bardo. That's the state between one life and the next. And this is where people often encounter strange appearances, the henchmen of the Lord of Death, or also the clear light arising as the Buddha families. It all depends on your view and on the strength of your meditation. And this is one of the reasons why we engage in tantric practices in this lifetime. Although it's very difficult for us to practice the Vajrayana in an authentic manner, at least if we develop a familiarity for the Buddha families, the male and female enlightened beings in deity union who represent the 5 Buddha families, then at the time of entering into this bardo of the dharmata, there's a chance for us to recognize the clear light, true nature of mind. But as is the case, then for most of us, after this intermediary state between death and rebirth and the next life, then we will return to the mundane world. Really, we have no choice. We're going to be born again in samsara. But of course, we want to be born in positive conditions. We want to be born in the circumstances where we will meet the Dharma in this life. Also have resources. Many of us wonder why. Although in this life we have good motivation and we're diligent and we apply ourselves, then we still experience great hardship, especially in our practice. We find it difficult to go off into the mountains and meditate. We need to earn a living. We need to look after our own. Well, this comes down to our previous lives. It's based on what we did in previous lives that the appearances of this life will arise. And so it's important to practice and apply oneself to virtue so that when we are reborn in the next life, then we have all the causes and conditions, all these sort of harmonious circumstances for successful practice. But there's not much we can do about past lives. What we have to do is apply ourselves for the coming bardos, these states that we will experience in the future. As it is said, then if you want to know what you did in a previous life, then look at this body now. And if you want to know where you're going to be in the future, then look at your current actions. And so, once we pass through this Bardo of the Dharmata, this intermediary state between death and rebirth and the next life, then what we experience is the Bardo of becoming. Now this isn't birth. This is when our consciousness joins with the semen and the egg from the mother and father, and then we experience conception. Up until the point when we are born. This is where we are coming into the world, we're becoming. And our sense faculties begin to form, and our coarse body begins to develop. And really, once we've achieved this Bardo of becoming, then that's it. We've entered the next life. As I said in the beginning of this video, then we can all appreciate the importance of love and compassion. If you apply yourself to the generation of bodhicitta, love and compassion, in this life, then that's the most positive thing you can do. And also, the most infallible cause for future liberation. Love and compassion isn't just about talking sweetly to others and giving others what they want. Of course, generosity is part of it. This mind that cares and loves is important. But it has to be embraced with wisdom. And the question is, how can one develop this wisdom? Well, in general, what we need to do is we need to study. And when I say study, that doesn't only orbit around studying texts, old books. It also refers to studying appearances, studying the world around you, coming to understand your own mind. And if you read the writings of Patrul Rinpoche, in his famous text, The Words of My Perfect Teacher, then there are many things that can help us develop this loving kindness and compassion. In terms of the ancient scriptures, then the most famous and universally respected text is The Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva. And this is something that everyone needs to look into. And it's not just about being kind-hearted and caring and compassionate towards others. A large part of this text is about the development of wisdom, and ultimately about understanding this view of emptiness. And why is this view of emptiness so important? Well, it's because where we go wrong is seeing things to be real and fixed. For example, our loved one may very well have a terminal illness, and our compassion or love for them can become overwhelming, so we get really emotional. The wisdom aspect is to realize that everything is impermanent. Everything changes. Nothing remains fixed or the same, not even for one instant. And with that comes a great acceptance of death. Accepting my own death and also the death of others. But death isn't the end. Death is the beginning. Death is potential. In fact, all experiences are potential. They are the potential to realize the true nature, to develop wisdom, to come to understand the way things are. And by that understanding the nature of reality, then we are able to find liberation or emancipation. So that's about all I had to say on this snowy day in January 2024. I'm going to try to go to the retreat center this weekend once the weather clears. And then I've got to start on building my first meditation hut. I mean, at the moment there's somewhere there to stay, somewhere there to live. But what I need is accommodation for meditators. Somewhere simple, somewhere isolated, where there are no distractions. Somewhere where peace and tranquility naturally arise, without having to contrive it or alter anything. So when I go there on the weekend, then I'll try to post at least a short or another video. And until then, and see you later. Morning. Hello.